Well, it's been a minute. I picked the wrong intro. Good job, Eric. How's everybody doing? I don't even know what channel I'm on anymore. It's definitely been a minute. Welcome back to you. Welcome back to me. I actually have a proper intro for this, which I thought I had picked, but apparently not. But this is the proper intro. Okay, so we'll just pretend that little bit of time never happened. And everybody who's watching the replay will say, what kind of a maniac am I watching now? This dude is off his kilter. Oh, wow. But you know what? It's a perfect segue in. My first story is all about narrative, right? So I started with the wrong intro and everything else, and I'm playing it off like, oh yeah, I meant to do that. See, I have two cats, and they've trained me in life. Have you ever seen a cat when they like flail and then they fall on the ground, and then they kind of look up at you and go, I meant to do that. So that's I meant to do that because I'm going to play with reality. Isn't that what we do right now? We just play with reality. Everybody out there, we don't know what's really going on. We just have to read whatever anybody says, and oh my God, it must be true. So the first story's kind of perfect. I mean, you have royalty, right? Oh my God, you can't get any better than royalty. You have the illustrious Prince Harry, and then he married an American, and it was a perfect dream. And they're obviously the most popular people on the planet, and everybody adores them because they're on Oprah. So it only makes sense, wouldn't you agree, that if they came out with a podcast, you've got to pay them a lot of money, and automatically, it's going to be number one. And in fairness, I would not be completely surprised. There's enough pent-up curiosity and everything else from people who are like, wonder what this is about, especially considering how long this thing took to launch. It was kind of a running joke that they got approximately $1 million for an episode with their efforts or something like that. I can't remember if it was them or the Obamas. Both of them are miserable podcasters so far. But finally, we do have a podcast, and that's the thumbnail. So I'm going to open with the story and actually go with the story. And supposedly, not only did the podcast of Meghan Markle finally launch, but folks, it's number one with a bullet, right? Number one. So that means on Spotify, this new feisty podcast beat out Joe Rogan. Now, how many of you believe that? I'm curious. One's in the chat if you believe it, and then two's if you don't. Three's if you want to be obstinate. What do you think? Now, if I'm being fair, again, for the first episode, I could see it being number one. I could. I could see there's enough curiosity, even if it's people who want to hate listen. Yeah, it could be number one. It could be. But, yeah, I don't know. Kathy Trout is obstinate. I like that. Got one, number three. All right, so let's go ahead and look. Got a headline. What's number four? I didn't give you a four. You're just going to make your own rules. This is like your own game. I'm number four. All right, so here we go. The number one podcast. How's it really doing? Art. I love the title here. It's archetypes, I guess, because it's supposed to be like archetypes, because we have no ego whatsoever, right? You know, it's not an archetype, but it's supposed to be a pun on the little child Archie, because we're clever. Well, it turns out that, well, some rankings aren't the same as other rankings, apparently. So we have the number one podcast. So it's number one, except the actual listening figures say it's no higher than number 5 and as low as number 25. Whoa. Wonder what's going on there. And I'm joined by the illustrious Ms. Morrow. I'm just talking about our wonderful new Archetypes podcast. And I think it's Archetypes because of a pun on the little kid named Archie. But I don't know. But I can't think of anybody who doesn't give off more of a, I don't want to say narcissist. Is there a kinder word?
Egomaniac.
Okay, I can't think of it. You know, a better term for an egomaniacs podcast.
Or how about this? High self-esteem.
Yes, very confident. She's very confident.
Except for one could make the argument that the narcissist is very insecure, actually. But
yeah, I can see that. But either way, coincidentally, it turns out that the podcast is somehow number one, but the listening figures don't actually put it in the top 5. And it could be as low as number 25. And I was conceding the point that I actually could see it being number one for the first week. And I'm sure you could too, right? I mean, just enough rubbernecking, curiosity, even hate listening out there. And then people who are fans, there are real fans, I'm sure, both of them. And that could turn that into a number one podcast for a week. But I don't think you even got that.
Well, I mean, there's just a lot of rubbernecking with that family that has nothing to do with credibility or value added to life, generally speaking. You know, not like I'm learning something. It's just more like celebrity rubbernecking. So we'll see if it sustains, because I think if it sustains, then maybe people are genuinely interested. If it's just, we just want to see the latest. Did you see there that one of the more recent tabloid video uploads of Harry and Meghan showed her trying to like grab his hand? It was a game. I think they were at a sporting event, and he like kind of like let her hold his hand for 10 seconds or less, because they knew there were photographers around, and then like he pulled away his hand.
Was that the one? Was it? No. Oh no. Oh, sorry. That was a different thing. I was thinking about somebody who's grabbing. Oh God, I'm terrible with the royal family. His brother's wife's hand, and she did this like casual purse change to knock them off. So I got Kate. Yeah.
Oh, but it wasn't Will trying to hold her hand.
No, she was walking with Will, and it was Tom Cruise, as a matter of fact. So I got confused by the two. But Tom Cruise like kind of grabbed her hand to like lead her up the stairs.
I don't think you're supposed to do that.
Casual. Yeah, she did this really slick casual. Put her handbag in the hand that he grabbed.
Yeah, and
they kept walking, right? And then when he got on the other side, she switched the handbag to the other side.
Well. I've heard he can sometimes have a creepy vibe. I don't know. I also have to say, he's like, there was a recent video of him talking from like sitting on top an airplane wing. Have you seen that? Somebody just tweeted it saying this guy's on a one-man mission to save cinema. And he's just like talking to you, and they have him tight. You know, you could see he's kind of in the air, but you're not really sure what's going on. And they pull out, and he's just like sitting on the side of a, one of those planes where you can, your head's out. And he's just standing there like, and then another plane flies right over his head. And anyway, Tom Cruise, I'll give him, he's a great actor. I think he's a great actor. He is.
And by the way, the dude with his shirt off, I could only wish to look at his age. I mean, he's a peak. No, He's in
All
peak
I
shape.
need is my husband, y'all. I don't have to go look at Tom Cruise. I know Eric every once in a while has a man crush on Tom Cruise, but
Look at this. Look at this. We're back one day.
I don't know if Lynn's watching. He better be. He usually doesn't watch, and then he, like, when I do my locals live streams, because I have my editorial board every Saturday, and he'll be sending me TikTok videos while I'm trying to concentrate on doing my editorial board meeting. I have to swipe hello, do you not understand right now I'm in the middle of my very important editorial meeting? So, but really fast, just to go back to Meghan and Harry, because I thought this was funny. So I have a friend who's still a mainstream TV reporter, still in the Matrix, like 100% in the Matrix. But she's when I sent her that, she's a big fan of the royal family to-dos. And I was like, looks like there might be trouble in paradise. And she goes, whatever. They just adopted a beagle together. Like, oh, okay. Well, that must mean everything's fine if they just adopted a beagle together.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then I said, well, maybe it was one of Fauci's beagles. And then she got mad at me for that because I think she likes Fauci a lot.
Oh, God. Your former friend?
Yeah, she probably doesn't watch I don't think she watches my YouTube channel. Otherwise, she probably would divorce me at this point. But anyway, but yeah, she said, well, they adopted beagles together, so they're fine. I think, I don't know if they get divorced, but I would say if I was going to choose which of the 50-50 chance, I say they probably get divorced.
Nice choice of the word which.
What? Which one? Yeah, choose which.
No, the use of the word which.
I don't know. I don't know if
TCH, right?
make it. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to leave it up to the viewers. What do you guys think I meant?
Okay, well, number one, they divorce. Number two, they divorce. You guys choose.
Yeah.
I've got to give a fair odds here. Okay, well, while we're on it and we're still on that side of the water, let's get into another subject that just keeps coming around and around and around. This is the subject that put Jordan Peterson on the map. He was arguing years ago about Bill C-16 and the compulsion to using pronouns and how if you make this an offense, bad things can happen. So we have a case now. There's some nuance to it, and I do want to address the nuance, but we have somebody who is jailed in Ireland. Now, he is jailed. It's kind of a weird thing because if you ever talk to a libertarian, Allison, I think you know the line that essentially everything ends up with a gun. Everything ends up with the state. Like, you can say, okay, no, taxes are a white collar crime. It's like, yeah, go ahead and don't pay them and see what they come to your house with when they take you away. This is kind of one of those principles. So he was in this school, and I guess he was suspended with pay because he would not use the gender pronouns or the preferred pronouns or whatever it is. And then he went back to the school and continued to teach. So now he is jailed.
Oh.
So people have pointed out to me that, no, technically he's not imprisoned or not jailed over the pronouns, but I have a question for you. If pronouns were not a question, would he be in jail?
No.
So
no, but I do question why I mean, I don't know. I not to judge him or anything, but why would you go back? I don't know. Can somebody give me a good reason?
Because
to make a statement, civil disobedience, I guess.
Probably.
Maybe that's why.
Well, he's a teacher, right?
Yeah.
I mean, haven't you seen Good Will Hunting or Dead Poet Society? I'm going to go on a limb because I'm
Good Will Hunting, but I have not seen Dead Poets.
Okay, well, I'm older. I'm projecting.
It's not that. It's me. I'm terrible at movies. I've seen none. I can quote Princess Bride like I just saw it yesterday and nothing else. So don't feel bad.
Anyway, the principle may be, and I don't know, He could be a true believer, and he could feel like his students are having their minds rotted, and he's taking a stance. Right, wrong, otherwise, I'm just saying that
Yep.
that could be a motivation for him to go back there and say, no, this is wrong. I should not be suspended. I have every right to teach. We just kind of went through that. Remember the football coach who I believe got fired. His case went all the way to the Supreme Court, and I think he won. Who would always, after every game, would pray on the field?
I don't think I remember him.
Okay, well, yeah, there was a
Was
football
he in my
coach.
area?
Huh? I don't know.
Was he in my area?
He might have been. I don't remember exactly where. I just know that he made it a point that, like, after every game, he would go out in the middle of the field and he would pray. And he never asked anybody to go pray with him. Yes, no, otherwise, a lot of the students did. They kind of, joined in or whatever. But he wound up getting fired, et cetera, et cetera. His case went all the way to the Supreme Court and he won. Because he was expressing it. So,
well, I could see that.
Okay.
I could see that. I mean, it's a form. Anytime I covered civil disobedience as a reporter, and a lot of it was environmental, the point was to get arrested. Actually, that way you could try the case. So yeah, maybe that's exactly what he was hoping for.
Oh, and yes, I mean, how do you get notice to it? By the way, on that note, Allison, did you know I have a sponsor?
Yeah, you told me. That's awesome.
Yeah, and while we're talking about civil disobedience and things like that, we have to watch out when we are searching for things on the internet. When we are using the internet, we can be tracked anytime. For example, or Twitter or everywhere else, you get filled with the ads and everything else. Do you know why that happens?
Because the CIA is tracking me.
Worse. Google Analytics and everybody else are tracking you. It's not even CIA, it's just commercial. Your IP address, that's how all your data gets to you, is shown to the world. And with ExpressVPN, out the other side with a washed IP address. We'll call it packet laundering for today. You start out with dirty packets and they come out clean. I'm just kidding. But it is very, very helpful. And with this, you can not only make sure your data is secure when you're traveling around, but you can watch content from around the world. Check out ExpressVPN. Thank you very much. And I do have a link in the description, and there will be a pinned comment for anybody who's in the replay crew to check this out later. And thank you very, very much. And see, even co-hosts can be abducted by either the CIA or little towhead producers. Never know which part it is. But jumping forward on
Sorry.
No worries. You're like, ad break.
She came in asking for more stickers. She said more stickers, more stickers. So I had to go get her more stickers. She's working on artwork right now.
Nice.
So ExpressVPN, yeah, as your sponsor. That's cool. I need to use a VPN. I guess now I have no excuse. But you have no excuse not to drink wine, Eric, because Allison Wine promo is always there for you. And I'm having a kid in a couple weeks, which means everybody should be toasting to the new producer at AllisonWinePromo.com.
All right. And this technically is not my sponsor. It's Allison's plug to get by any legal questions that come up. Oh, fair and balanced. Hey. Oh, thank you. I didn't even know you knew about this. That's very cool. I'm very happy to be back. A little bit rusty, a little bit confused. So, okay, you provided a story. So this one you could take a lead on. And this is dealing with big tech as well. And maybe he should have used ExpressVPN. Our friend, yours and mine, the saint.
When I worked for the government, they used to say, delete your emails, clear out your inbox. They would just tell you to do that. So, yeah, I mean, basically I think this is the lawsuit that was filed by the AG in, what is it, Missouri? And is it Kentucky? Anyway, they're basically going after the Biden administration during COVID for colluding with the tech companies to suppress dissent. And so they want to see what kind of direct communication was happening between people like Fauci or his administration, Francis Collins, the White House press secretaries, communications directors, whatever, and these tech companies, which we already know. I'm just looking at some of the stuff Alex Berenson has shown through his lawsuit that they were even naming reporters specifically like him, like asking why he was still on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And Twitter's like, mercifully, we had an answer. like if they didn't have an answer, the government was going to have no mercy on them. I just think it's hilarious that they're so scared of the government as a private company. Like, well, mercifully, we had a good answer for why Alex Berenson's still on. But then, of course, a couple months later, they got rid of him. Now he's back. But yeah, so that's basically what this is. And, you know, I think having interviewed a guy, Andrew, and I'm going to mess up his last name, so I'm not going to say it, with openthebooks.com, who has been filing FOIAs against Fauci for like years. He said that Fauci is like the mafia leader and that they've had to sue over their FOIAs not being fulfilled. And so it's like you could file a FOIA without a lawsuit and you're supposed to get the information, but it turns out with Fauci and you know, getting information from his emails or his administration, they'll just like run out the clock and expect that they don't have to follow the law. And so then you have to sue them. And my guess, though I don't know this for sure, is that these emails have probably been requested through public records requests and freedom of information requests. But this lawsuit is forcing it to happen because they don't turn them over. And, you know, that's just, according to him, the only way to get any insight into how Fauci was running the show is not through what the legal means that every public citizen in the United States should have. It's that you have to get a lawyer and sue. And that's the only way this happens.
Are you completely surprised? I mean,
no.
Look who's bankrolling them. Look, I look what's there. I don't foresee anything happening until after midterm elections, if anything at all. And it is a very stunning coincidence that a retirement is coming soon, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm assuming that if he's sued in his position as a government official, I don't know this to be the case, but I'm guessing he would still be represented by the Attorney General's office, or maybe you can't sue him anymore because he's not in that position. I don't know exactly how it works, but I would assume that he's not going to be liable as a private citizen, right?
No, and let's be honest, even after midterms, we've seen even his supposed enemies and everything else, these guys, Congress has made more money off Pfizer than just about anything out there. All the top
even
investors,
though Biden just said they beat big tech, that was hilarious.
Yeah, anyway.
I finally beat big, or not big tech, big pharma. Yeah, remember that speech? He's like, I've been fighting big pharma my whole career, and we finally beat them. Like, right, dude. Yeah, whatever you.
Dude, I'd like to see him beat a teleprompter, let alone big pharma. God.
I don't know how delusional you have to be to really believe that. So you're either just delusional or you're lying. I mean, one of the two, but I just can't even believe those words came out of his mouth after the last couple of years. We'd be what do you think Big Pharma, like, what do you think Pfizer thinks when they hear Biden say that? Are they sitting there like, what did he, you know, we just basically got like all this money and they helped sell this product for us, and what does he mean? Or do you think they feel offended? Or they call later and they're like, wait, I thought we were friends. You know, are we breaking up? Like, what's happening? I'm just curious what the reaction is at like Pfizer and all these other companies when Biden says we beat Big Pharma. So
they're
dumb.
like, they're probably Delaware companies.
Delaware. Hey, I have to shout out to Delaware. That's where my mom's side of the family is from Delaware. In fact, my grandma Ruth, I think I've told this before, but she lived down the street from Joe Biden, and she didn't like him at all. But she saw him one time at Joseph A. Banks, you know, the like very waspy men's suit store, and she was there, and they like closed down the store for security, but she got stuck in there, I guess, and so he actually asked her, thinking he was being, I guess, cordial with one of his elected or
constituents.
Constituents, yeah. What do you think about this? And she goes, "It's not very becoming on you, Mr. Senator." She walked away. My grandma Ruth Morrow, man, she cut you with her words, and she did not mince them. And she just told him that she didn't like his suit, and she just walked away. She didn't care.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh my God. Speaking of suits and walking away, you know, we've talked about this a little bit on this side, but I'm wearing a t-shirt here for Podfest.
Oh gosh, yeah.
This is a good conference, folks. So far, they haven't pissed me off. However, the largest podcast conference in the world, as far as I know, Podcast Movement, well, kind of dropped a bowel movement and had some issues with the big scary Jew who was wearing a suit and walking around and then walked out. So that is my idea of a segue, which is really sad. But more has come up because, yes, I have railed about Podcast Movement and their apology tweets about allowing Ben Shapiro, the pretty mild-mannered Jewish guy from Daily Wire, walking around their conference. So he paid $10,000 for a booth, or his company did, and he showed up at the booth, and he shook a few hands, took some selfies with people or pictures, and then he walked out of the building. Big, scary Ben. And somebody actually took a picture of him from a distance in between and said, "I don't know about you, I feel unsafe." Now, you're married to Lynn. Yeah. I'm very curious exactly what he thinks about people feeling unsafe by somebody walking around in a building who's a little mild-mannered dude.
Yeah, I mean, he just kind of shakes his head at this stuff because same as when people start calling for like civil war. He's like, anyone who like wants war outside their door has never been to war before. But yeah, he just thought that whole thing was so stupid. And it is stupid. And the most stupid part about it is that they took his money and then they acted like they didn't realize how violent his words were. And
well, let's look at the apology. I mean, it's this classic moment. Let's look at it. Okay. Because this is such a beautiful apology. Hi, folks. We owe you an apology before sessions kick off for the day. Yesterday afternoon, Ben Shapiro briefly visited the PM22 Expo area near the Daily Wire booth. Though he was not registered or expected, we take full responsibility for the harm done by his presence. Those of you who called this unacceptable are right. In 9 wonderful years growing and celebrating this medium, PM has made mistakes. The pain caused by this one will always stick with us. We promise that sponsors will be more carefully considered moving forward. What would you think if that was you or Lynn?
If they said that about us?
Yeah.
I think I would laugh. I mean, honestly, I don't know how I couldn't really take it seriously enough to even be like offended by it, but I would ask for my money back. I would surely ask for my money back, and I'm sure Lynn would demand it. So I think that's ridiculous. I mean, they still had him up as a sponsor after all this happened. They still had the Daily Wire up on their sponsor page. I don't think they gave him the money back. So,
No,
but
they
I would get my
offered it.
money back if they did this. Okay, and then I would just keep tweeting about that, I guess. When do I get my money back? When do I get my money back? When do I get my money? I mean, why would you take my money? It's blood money. And then you wouldn't even give it back. I mean, now that you've recognized the error of your ways, then you should give me my money back. But I don't think they did.
No, but guess what? Well, Jeremy Boring actually said it was bigoted. And he's right. And they now have taken those tweets down.
Oh, really?
Yes. And
what?
So this is
These
the
people
new
are
pinned
so
tweet.
beta.
Yeah. So they're going to work on pissing everybody off, which is good because they need to burn down. I'm done with them. This was the first podcast conference I ever went to. It was a big, exciting thing. And I feel so insulted to have ever been associated or recommend anybody for them. And I've made that really clear on Twitter that I find this is shameful. But here we go. We've listened to our podcast movement community, many who've been with us since the start. We're putting in place policies to guide our social media and in events with inclusivity, diversity, and respect for all. Well, mostly. Well, some. It's a journey. We keep listening, keep growing together. All right, so that is the status there. Now, a friend of mine, Andrew Gold, who is, believe me, Andrew is no right-wing Daily Wire shill, does not like Ben Shapiro, anything about him. I mean, he's British. He's very, very, not that way, okay? But I was really happy to see this. He goes, I hope this doesn't mean further defaming of those whose views we might disagree with and to whom we've sold $9,000 booths. Ben Shapiro incident needs to serve as a reminder not to dehumanize those with different views. Podcast industry particularly guilty of this. I think it's a really valid point because it is a diversity of thought and it's supposed to be an open community for all. But this is where you can see this disease. John podcasting, obviously an expert. You can tell by the name, right? Shapiro dehumanizes others. That's the whole reason the community has shunned him.
Well, isn't it dehumanizing that somebody can't come to the event and stand there and take pictures after they paid $9,000? I mean, basically, Ben, I can't tell if he was kidding or not, but his tweet about it was like, I'm literally shaking right now. They want to erase my existence. Who is dehumanized in that situation, honestly? But I don't even know if he was joking or serious about the shaking part. Ziggy Shrug was saying that they tried to give the money back and Jeremy Boring didn't
told
want
him
it.
to stuff it. And he said, I don't want that. He said, I want an apology. Well, he said, I want the tweets taken down. I want an apology. He did a full interview. It was very interesting. He also said that they asked him to please don't open fire on us. Let us work this out. And he's like, okay, fine. I will do that. We'll have a meeting. And they said, okay, yeah, our first opening is September 14th. He's not holding back fire any longer. So this is number two, Andrew, and you can see this going back and forth, which is really, I mean, this is a disease. I mean, I'm sorry. The community decides, and this community decided that people who enable or perpetuate hate and divisiveness are not welcome. Being banished from a voluntary community is not the same as being censored by the government. Yo, John, I'm a podcaster. So you speak for me, John? Excuse me? Ben Shapiro. He's not only a podcaster, his company is the 6th largest podcasting organization in the world. So you speak for Ben? You are the community? John podcasting?
Well, and also, I mean, who's hate and division? Because, like, I mean, you could easily make the argument that those who are calling, somebody with Ben Shapiro's ideas out for hatred or whatever else, in a lot of ways create more hatred and division.
Yes.
From their own, mislabeling of people's religious beliefs as anti-trans or homophobic, or like, the radical exclusive feminist people, you know what I mean? Whatever they're called, what are the TERFs? Trans exclusive radical feminists.
Yep.
All those people, like they're transphobic and what, I mean, they're constantly using division and polarizing language to dehumanize and demean. So they do it too, and maybe they do it and the other side isn't even really doing it, depending on how you see it. But I think it's ridiculous that guys like this think that tactic, if in fact that's really what you believe Ben Shapiro is preaching, which I don't. I don't. I think, I think he's got his Orthodox Jew beliefs.
Let's say he was a firebrand. Let's say that he's Keith Olbermann of the right. Let's say that he's just spouting the worst things in the world. He still has a right to walk around a podcasting conference. If he's not causing problems, he's not yelling at people, he's doing nothing. Yeah,
he's not breaking the law. Yeah. I mean, at the same time, it's a private convention, I guess. So, I mean, I guess they could kick him out. I don't know.
They took his money.
But if you do that, you need to be aware that you're participating in exactly what you criticize others for doing. You're being a hypocrite. They should see that. If they want to be a hypocrite, fine. They have the legal right to do that. But the fact that a lot of these people somehow think that when they do it, it's protecting morality. But when others are doing it, they're sowing division and hate. It's the same phenomenon like when you see Taylor Lorenz. She thinks she's exposing people, but when they expose her, they're bullying her.
Oh, yeah.
It's the same. Yeah. It's the same issue.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to go 2 more lines, and we'll get to the next story. But here we go. Think back through history at communities that have decided certain people are not permitted. John podcasting walks right into it. Yeah, like religions and the Nazis and the KKK. Now, what is Ben Shapiro again? Somebody remind me. Can we help John with this? Unbelievable. Yeah. It's really he's even calling it out. And yes, little Ben Shapiro, who lost relatives in the Holocaust, probably is very aware of these communities. And these communities also, much like John from podcasting, don't like little Ben Shapiro at all. So I don't know. I'm very, very, very frustrated with it. But there is some good news, in my opinion. And this is the headline today. Cumulus ends relationship with podcast movement.
Wow.
And I have also spoken to another sponsor, and this is totally off the record. I'm not going to say who, because I just, I know them. And this person said that he's given to the conference every year, and he will no longer do that with his organization. And here's the biggest irony of all. I know at least one of the founders who doesn't even agree with it, but they're too much of a coward to do anything.
Well, this is what happens when you don't stand for anything and you just do whatever the loudest voice tells you to do. Eventually, you look like an idiot, and they look like idiots. That's for sure.
I agree. Now, speaking of idiots, we're going to go a completely off-kilter case here. A lot of Daily Mail today. But I heard about this case in the past, and somebody on my locals, unstructured.locals.com, folks, sent this in, posted this as a interesting topic. Cops finally reevaluate suicide in the case of a 27-year-old Philadelphia teacher found by her fiance in her apartment with 20 stab wounds, including 10 to the back of her head. Now, Allison, apparently the original people seem to figure that you can commit suicide from the back.
Wow.
I mean, this is a real thing. I checked multiple sources. I pulled this one to get a little bit more neutral. They actually are reopening it because of some like spectral analysis or whatever. Look at that. Can you do that to the back of your head?
No, especially not after doing that to the front of your chest. I don't know. I don't know how.
Apparently, that was first.
That's terrible.
I'm going. What?
Yeah.
I mean, we've covered Elliott Smith on America's Untold Stories, another of my channels. And I talk about that one a lot because he managed to commit suicide by stabbing himself in the chest twice, both fatal, and running across the yeah. Anyway, this one takes that to a whole new extreme. And
that's crazy. Eric, did you tell everybody that you have a special guest coming in and that I do the first 30 minutes just so they don't think I'm leaving you?
Yeah, actually, we should discuss that. We'll be very quick about it on the show now because Allison has production duties and everything else. She's almost like a correspondent, trying to be at the top of the hour. Supposed to have a guest coming in at the halfway point, but I think that he's probably having too much fun with Legal Mindset. No worries. So I don't know if it's a good logical show.
In case people don't know, if you're not following my locals community, or actually my YouTube channel, I've talked about it. I am 8.5 weeks pregnant. I wish. I'm 8.5 months pregnant. I'm due in basically 3 weeks. And so with the second producer. And so that's going to be interesting, but Eric's going to roll with it. He said he will roll with it. So anyway, we've decided I'll do the first 30 minutes of the show. But then I got to get back to making sure that my children are not killing each other. And Eric's cats behave a lot better than I think my kids, they listen a little bit better. So, but I'm glad to be back. I'm going to run so I can get the producer some more stickers so she stops screaming stickers in the background.
All right. Well, have fun. And do you want to plug your product?
I think I did already. AllisonWinePromo.com. Allison with one L winepromo.com. Amazing Argentine Malbecs, if I'm saying it right. Argentine. I don't know. Anyway, go get my Malbecs. You get 50%
really
off
high
the wine
stuff.
and 50%. What?
Really high wine.
I'm going to have to give you the link, Eric, so next time I do it, you can pull it up. But yeah, right. If you go to summer's almost over. It's going to be actually it was 45 degrees yesterday morning when I got up here in Washington State. And honestly, Malbecs are great in the summer or the winter. So that's why you should go get them. So go get AllisonWinePromo.com and get some Malbecs. If you're already a wine drinker, you know who I just had on was Larry Sharp. He's running for city council, governor, a little different than city council.
I've heard that
in New York. He's a libertarian. He ran in 2018. Anyway, he told me I'm terrible at selling my wine. I need to do better. He actually made me, when he was on, he made me go back to the wine and he sold it for me.
So, the best seller of your wine is Barnes. Barnes moves some product for you early on.
He does. Yeah, he really helps, especially when I'm suspended. So, and I did get suspended again from YouTube, but thankfully they let me back in again. Though I will say I'm wondering what's going to happen with one of my latest videos. I talked about how they're going to be cracking down on election misinformation again. So I just had to show their authoritative sources breaking the rules, which I did last year with COVID. I showed them breaking the rules. And instead of saying, Allison, thank you for showing us how CNN and NBC are breaking our rules. They're so dangerous. We will delete their videos now. They deleted my video and suspended me and left the videos up on corporate news. So I did the same thing with election stuff. If you want to see it, it's still up for now. See? Can you hear her?
Oh, yeah.
What do you want more? More what?
She wants more mommy.
More stickers. Okay, say bye.
Bye-bye.
I'm going to say bye to everybody. Here, hang on.
Bye.
All right, see ya. I don't know how to get out of here, Eric.
Leave button in the top right.
All right, say bye, everybody. Like and share and subscribe. Did you just give him a kiss? That was nice. You're
All
so
right.
nice.
And right on time.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Wow. Right on time. Oh, my God. Look at this. We'll try to end at 10.
I will, because I got Nick coming to me at 10 o'clock. If you go longer, I totally get it. I have to end it. I have to be out of here. I've got like 10 minutes.
All right. Well, we're going to go into it really fast. Okay. I promised a topic because I know Joe loves to debate, talk about different things or whatever. Have you ever heard of the term? Now, this is coming out of Nick, by the way, who's coming on here with you, and Keffels and Kiwi Farms and Cloudflare. This term right here pisses me off to no end.
Stochastic terrorism. What do you?
Stochastic. Okay.
How do you define that?
All right. Well, let's go ahead and look it up because I should be fair and put the term in, but I would call it a cousin of a dog whistle.
Okay.
And here is the first source that I could find of it. I believe it came from this blog originally.
Can you enlarge that a little bit for those of us who are old?
You're only, 3 days older than me?
Seriously, I am. Stochastic terrorism is the use of mass communications to incite random actors to carry out violent or terrorist acts that are statistically predictable but individually unpredictable. In short, remote control murder by lone wolf. This is what occurs when bin Laden releases a video that stirs random extremists halfway across the globe to commit a bombing or a shooting. So, for example, let's think about this. If they put out, what's that called when they put out like a kill order, when Islamist extremists put out like a kill order? A fatwa. Yes, thank you. I'm like 8 shots in.
And cute. And Salman Rushdie just got freaking stabbed off of a 30-year-old fatwa.
It's a 30-year-old fatwa. He wrote a book like literally in the 1900s called, like it was in the 1900s, right?
Right? I mean, technically, yeah. Is it 80 something? 1980 something, yeah.
Called Satanic Verses.
Yep.
And when he wrote Satanic Verses, this outrage, which basically I think was a mockery of Islam, and I never read it personally, but he wrote
it challenged it. I think it challenged it. I don't know if it's a mockery or not because they're very sensitive. So something may or not, who knows? I mean, that's
Charlie Hebdo. That's a mockery. Which only became funny when Larry David started talking about it in Curb Your Enthusiasm, but until then was never remotely amusing. So he put out a fatwa. Did you watch Curb Your Enthusiasm? Are you
brief minutes of it. I know that Larry David's got to be your spirit animal, though.
No, Jesus, what a racist comment to make, my brother. I love you. But no, he's not.
How is that
But
racist?
there was a whole season. There was a whole season dedicated to a fatwa that was placed on Larry David because he made comedy. He made comedy of Islam. So there was a whole season dedicated to a fatwa. One of the later seasons, which obviously means not nearly as good. But my point is that so Salman Rushdie put out a book called Satanic Verses, which became the basis for some mullah or several mullahs.
I think you're right. It did win either Pulitzer or a Nobel Prize.
Yeah, putting out a fatwa saying, which fatwa, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, basically means this is an infidel who's deserving of death.
Death mark.
To those of you, on an individual. So he had this fatwa hanging over his head forever, and recently got stabbed.
It's a bounty. It's even more of a bounty because there was money with it, and they raised the money. Oh, yeah. It was $2.8 million, and they made it like $3.5 million in 2012.
Which, by the way, I just want to point out, like $2.8 million to you or me, to someone living in the Middle East, is like $3 billion. It's like a whole different level. When you talk about like 2.8 million to someone who's living in the Middle East, where like the standard of living there and the cost of living there is totally different than it is living in New York City or wherever, that it's literally like hundreds of millions.
It's still good money here. I mean,
Yes.
don't get me wrong.
If whatever you think 2.8 million is worth here, it's really worth a lot more in the Middle East. So my point is that so I was talking about this whole fatwa thing. But we would get. I don't want to fly afield from the whole stochastic terrorism. So stochastic terrorism basically is let's incite a mob to go after someone, and I don't know which person's going to do it. If you saw V for Vendetta, which is a nice life lesson.
Well, they go back to will someone rid me of this obnoxious priest, or I forget what it's Shakespeare. Will someone rid me of this Henry VIII, I think?
The point is, I'm pushing down a domino. Which is in a row of dominoes. And ultimately, I don't care if the domino that knocks over my target is a 5-2 domino, a 6-1 domino, it might be a 2-0 domino. I don't care. As long as one domino ultimately gets the effect that I'm looking for, that by me putting this message out there, that ultimately I'm getting some random domino out there to have an impact on my target. Now,
rid me of this meddlesome priest. I think that's it. Will someone rid me of this meddlesome priest?
I am impressed with your knowledge of English literature. Well done, my brother.
But my issue with it is, to me, a way of cowards to go after people they don't like. And essentially, they're stating any statement that is made by those who they don't, and this is typically the left going to the right, it's intellectualizing a quote-unquote dog whistle or a command. So you're saying, oh, what you're saying is really dangerous, Joe, because you know that one of your legion of fans is going to take this and do horrible things. So what do we have to do? We have to cancel you.
Yes, to stop me from sending out more dog whistles. And this is what I will say is my position with respect to that. And my position is this. If it's a specific call for action, if it's a specific call for action saying, I'm urging you all to go ahead and do this, in that case, at that point, it can potentially qualify as stochastic terrorism and something that's dangerous or should theoretically be something that the individual speaker should be liable for. But if it's just someone saying, I hate this person, or I hope, and it's not a specific, very specific call for action, that I'm not going to be satisfied until someone goes out there and does X to individual A. Until that happens, this is free speech. And that's why I'm saying to you, this is a very key distinction between things like what Nick Rekieta does versus things like what Keffels did. Because Keffels was very directed in saying,
all right, now back up. You got to tell the story. You can't just, you're going deep in now at Curse of Knowledge. You have to say it A or B.
I need to do this within 5 minutes because I gotta fly. I will talk fast. Those of you who are unfamiliar, so Nick Rekieta got a second strike and is dealing with a 2-week suspension because of comments that he made while he was on his own stream where he was talking about an individual named Keffels. Those of you unaware, Keffels is a cis man trans woman who went public in stating that she, whatever you decide to call this individual, I don't care. I personally really don't care at all. For the purposes of just being not controversial, I will refer to Keffels as she. Okay? So that Keffels basically stated on her own Twitter or her own public statements that she gave to children. When I say children, I mean people who have not yet attained the age of majority.
We're still on YouTube. 18. Careful. Certain medications that were designed to enable them to transition while they were still 12, 13 in their early prepubescent or early stages of pubescence. And that Nick said when he heard about those statements, he said that Keffels belongs, quote, on the wall. Now, you and I can have different interpretations about what the phrase on the wall means. And he says, and then he followed that statement up by saying, wait until they're 18.
In other words, to make clear, I don't care if some adult decides they want to transition. Don't go to children and start planting seeds in their minds and start trying to give them medications to help them in transitioning. And there are many instances where Nick has made it crystal clear he does not care if someone's trans. This is not about like, oh, the right hates trans people. No, this is a matter of the right protecting children. And he said, wait until they are 18. And if you can't do that, then find a steamroller to run over yourself. This is almost verbatim a quote for quote.
Well, I know it's hyperbolic because you roll over the steamroller to flatten, so it'd be like a map, and a map is on the wall. This goes back to almost a theme that is maps belong on the wall. Correct?
Keffels took this clip and basically said, and it's what's funny about it is that she took this clip and said about this clip, Nick said I should be put against the wall and shot. I can't believe that YouTube allows someone who has almost 500,000 subs to say this about me.
Which is technically not true.
None of it's true because he never said and shot. I don't think he ever meant and shot. They decided to basically say, my intuition says it means and shot. He had a debate with someone
against the wall. Against the wall technically is...
He didn't say against the wall. He's never used the phrase against the wall. He said on the wall. On the wall is very different against the wall. Because I will tell you this. Duncan MacLeod made this claim. I was like, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Because I've studied World War II and the Holocaust in great detail. And he's like, well, the origin of Against the Wall is the Holocaust.
No,
I was like,
it was before that.
What the hell are you talking about?
It's actually before that.
And Nick showed something that I thought was actually inaccurate, where he showed some clip of someone saying, you're against the wall, and I am the wall. He's never said against the wall. His phrase when he's talking about maps, because he said, along with all the other maps, you belong on the wall. The phrase on the wall is very different from against the wall, because against the wall, when he's saying, I want to put you against the wall, that does sound like and shot. But he never said that. He said on the wall. On the wall, basically... I'm going to be frank with you. I'll be real with you, okay? Because I will always tell you truth about this is how I feel about something. Every time I've heard him say on the wall thousands of times. Not thousands. I don't want to exaggerate. But at least I would say probably more than a dozen times I've heard Nick use the phrase on the wall. Put him on the wall. Maps belong on the wall. This is something I've heard him say multiple times. Every time I heard that, I'll be honest with you. I actually looked at this as a form of torture, not death. That's how I personally interpret it.
I actually thought it was Looney Tunes.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying like a cartoon.
That's a fair your definition, Eric, is a totally fair definition. My perspective of on the wall was I want these people to have basically nails stuck inside them and have them stuck on the wall. Not killed. But basically had them be tortured. That's how
we'll go back to Looney Tunes and move on. Let's stay with Looney Tunes.
Look, listen to me. I'm just telling you, I'm being real with you how I interpret it. I never once interpreted it as killing these people. But I looked at it as like punishing these people for her. And the basis every single time was because they are hurting children. The most innocent of all souls. They are intentionally going out of their way to try and hurt children. Every time he was talking about groomers, pedophiles, whatever, people who are setting children up.
Joe, I'm still on YouTube. Give me a break, man.
I apologize.
Jesus Christ.
I'm sorry.
I hear you. We're not in a bar at the moment.
You're right. I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm 8 shots in. So if my I apologize.
But no, I get you.
Listen to me. Nothing I said now is real.
Looney Tunes, buddy. It's
Looney freaking Tunes. Anyway, the bottom line here is getting back to this story here is he ended up becoming so Keffels heard about this. So he said Keffels belongs on the wall with the other groomers. And the result of this is Keffels started a whole team of people. Keffels is a relatively popular person.
Sure.
And she basically put out there that, hey, I can't believe this person still has a platform on YouTube and has a license in the state of Minnesota, and basically urged everyone to report Nick to have him punished.
She literally said, will someone rid me of this meddlesome YouTuber?
Yes, it's 9:59. I'm supposed to be going live with him in like literally 60 seconds.
Joe, thank you.
Yeah, my point ultimately to all of you who are watching this out there in TV land is that if you ask me when someone crosses the line from doing right, doing wrong, I'll tell you this: if they are directing someone to a specific action and saying, "This is what I want you to do. This is what he deserves. This is what should happen." And
That's a call to action, and that's
a call to action. That's no longer speech. And at that point, it's a problem. When someone basically says, "I hate this person. I wish they would die of cancer," and then at that point,
that's rude. But
that's rude. Exactly. That type of speech is totally protected and is clearly not a call to action. It's basically saying, I don't want any of you who are followers of mine to do something to this person, but I hope karma comes and basically God or fate or whatever you want to call it basically comes down and strike this person because they're so evil, which is something, frankly, I personally do all the time. And I don't think there's anything really wrong with it. Anyway, she basically accused Nick of crossing that line. I cannot even fathom how he did, but that's what she accused him of. And to me, her call to action to punish him was terribly wrong. And the fact that YouTube actually responded to it was terribly wrong. But I'm about to have Nick on my channel. I don't know. Right now it's 10:01. I'm late.
Yep.
I will see you guys shortly. Take care.
All right.
I love you, Eric. Have a good night.
All right, later on, brother. All right, folks. I actually do have a redirection set up. So those of you, as you're lingering here, will automatically get moved over to Joe's stream because we're all trying to help each other out and redirect, etc. Obviously, I've run into the Cinderella hour. I think I'm going to have to do another show. I am annoyed with stochastic terrorism. I need to spend some time on this subject. I was hoping there would be a little bit more time because I feel like stochastic terrorism is thought crime. And we're getting to George Orwell, and it really, really, really irritates me. So I hope that if you enjoy this, you consider subscribing, come on back, and I'll see you again. Some of you, I know you on Locals. I will see you there. And tomorrow night, I will be on the Eric Hunley channel with Spidey, Rob of Law and Lumber, and maybe not Legal Mindset. I'm not Legal Mindset, Legal Bites. I'm not sure. And thank you so much. And I'll see you next time.